Eyes on me when I walk through the door. Man, I wish I bought a couple more. 'Cause I really love my city. It was worth every penny. If it were at my show, then I know they gon' tip me. Think I might add a couple patches. If you think it's ugly, you capping. Now my whole outfit matching. Never going out of fashion.
All right, well, that frickin' sucked. An 8-0 loss by the Padres on a night where we were hoping to be celebrating beating the Dodgers and moving on to the NLCS. The Mets, obviously, they beat the Phillies in New York, and they move on to the NLCS. Tonight, though, the Padres, they just didn't have it offensively. Obviously, wasn't good. There were some opportunities that they had to bring guys in that were on the base pass. Manny, it sure seemed like he got that ball. I thought that was going to be a homer. That ball was crushed, and it ended up being on the warning track. Just one of those nights where it just wasn't happening. And the Padres, obviously, they took that risk of having Dylan Cease start tonight on 3 days rest, not 4. And I'm not even going to say, like, this is why the Padres lost. I don't think it is why they lost, to be honest, because it wasn't just Dylan Cease that wasn't great tonight pitching-wise. Bryan Hoeing came in, and he wasn't his best self. And then when he scores 0 runs, I'm not going to just go blame it all on the pitching. That's just not going to happen. And who really cares, to be quite honest, who was pitching after Hoeing and after Dylan Cease? I mean, I guess Estrada, but, and, more honed through, but, like, it really felt, especially, 5-0, I was sitting there like, okay, they came back from a 5-0 deficit against this very same Dodger team earlier this year at Petco. They can do it, but it was going to be tough because you're not seeing the same arm a few times or a couple of times even. It was a bullpen game for this Dodgers team tonight. And I felt good going into tonight because we at least had a starting pitcher. And with the Dodgers, with their bullpen game, I wasn't thinking that the Padres were going to score 0 runs. I thought that at least one of the relievers for the Dodgers was going to make some big mistakes, and the Padres would be able to capitalize on that. And that didn't happen. Again, Manny almost did a homer there, but even if he did, it would have been a solo homer, and the Padres were down a lot in that situation anyway. There was an opportunity. I forget what inning. I want to say it was the 4th or the 5th inning. I'm going to find that real quick. I want to say it was the 4th or the 5th. Maybe it was the 6th. Or was it I forget what inning it was. But they had runners on, and Higgy, here it was, I think. Yeah, bottom 5. This is what it was. Bottom 5, Peralta singled, Crony has the walk, and then so you have multiple runners on, nobody out. Okay, doors cracked open here. Maybe here's your opportunity. And the Padres obviously weren't able to score anything from that. Higgy strikes out. Arias flies out to right to Mookie. And Fernando flies out. Evan Phillips brought into this game. When I saw how aggressively Dave Roberts was managing this game, obviously the Dodgers season was on the line. I was actually like, okay, no, this might be in the Padres' favor because I'm sorry. I don't trust Dave Roberts. If I was a Dodger fan, I would not trust Dave Roberts with bullpen management and how aggressive he was. I mean, Michael Kopech was pitching in the 4th inning of this game. He was pitching really early in this game. They start Ryan Brazier, then Banda throws, then Kopech goes, Vesia, and it was like, man, using your big bullets early. Then I saw a tweet that Jack Flaherty, I don't think he ever warmed up, but he was stretching out there. And I was like, oh, you can always count on Dave Roberts to make a questionable decision, when he gets tight and things get tense. But, yeah, the offense just wasn't able to do it. And is that a concern? Yeah, a little bit, because this Padres offense hasn't been able to do a whole lot against this Dodgers bullpen. I know it was days ago, but Kevin Acee in his Padres Daily was writing about the difference between against starters and against relievers so far in the postseason from the Padres. And so I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but at that point in time, I want to say it was before game 3. So there's obviously been a couple of games since then, but they were hitting under 200 so far in the postseason this year against relievers, but they were doing much better, against starters. So I wonder how that's going to go in game 5. And I don't really feel like talking a whole lot about what happened here, in game 4. We can get into the pitching situation and how the Dodgers scored, but like for me, I'm glad that this was a blowout. I know this sounds stupid, but I'm glad that this was a blowout because the Padres relievers, the high end guys, Suarez, Scott, Adam, didn't have to pitch them tonight. Yeah, they threw Estrada, they threw Morahone, but there's going to be a day off tomorrow. And the Padres, they have Yu Darvish going. They've got the starting pitching advantage, regardless of if it's Yamamoto or if it's Flaherty for game 5. I'm going with Darvish. I'm picking Darvish. Darvish has like a sub-3 ERA, I think, in the postseason against the Dodgers in his career. We obviously know how he shoved against the Dodgers in game 2. So I like the Padres' chances in game 5. Playing on the road at Dodger Stadium. You know how tonight when the Padres got down, and I was there, I've been there when things aren't going great, not a whole lot's going for the offense, and it gets pretty quiet. And that same thing can happen at Dodger Stadium if Yu Darvish goes in there. The Padres can get an early lead like they did against Yamamoto in that was game 1. Manny had that homer. They had the 3-0 advantage, and it was like, all right, it was 3-0 and 5-3. Get on them early, shut out that Dodger Stadium crowd, and then Yu Darvish go to work. And then you've got your top end relievers, your high leverage guys. I know this Dodgers bullpen has been good, and obviously they showed that they were good tonight against this Padres lineup. But I'm still going to take Yu Darvish starting and then the Padres high leverage guys over Yamamoto or Flaherty, and then maybe the other guy coming in after that, and then you go to that bullpen that they have. I'm still taking the Padres combination. And I'm actually encouraged, like the Padres, they're not playing at home. They're playing on the road here in game 5. I like that. And, Dave Roberts the other day wants to talk about the villain role. Well, the Padres will take on the villain role at Dodger Stadium because they're obviously the team that isn't going to be the team being cheered for, all night there in LA. So, again, I don't want to get too much into that whole Dave Roberts crap because that we just wasted so much energy on that. Like, it wasn't even about the game. It just, because there was the day off, we were just talking about it. But if the Padres are villains coming up in game 5, so be it. And if people want to say that they play that role nice and they like taking on that role and they like trolling and all that, okay, then so be it. And I regardless of that, I like the Padres position going into game 5. I'm confident in Yu Darvish. I like the Padres lineup at Dodger Stadium. They can go get an early lead. I think that's going to be key, obviously. Playing the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium, win or go home. I like being in that spot if I'm the Padres. I do. So as much as tonight sucked, it's just one game. What has happened earlier in this series means zero. Means absolutely nothing. Going into Friday night at 5 o'clock at Dodger Stadium. It becomes a one-game wild card. Winner advances. It becomes a Game 7 World Series. It becomes, that's your most important game of the season. Go win it. You're going to have the pressure on you. Well, really, like, who has the pressure on them? As Padres fans, the pressure's on the Padres, right? Because, you're up 2-1 in this series. I think they're the better team than the Dodgers, considering the Dodgers' injuries. And I know the Padres have injuries, but just the way that the Padres have played this year, I think that they should win this series. I wouldn't have been surprised if they would have won this series in 4 games. Obviously, it didn't happen, and that sucks. But I was expecting the Padres to win this game tonight, and I'll expect the Padres to win Game 5 on the road at Dodger Stadium. If you ask Dodger fans who has the pressure, or you ask the national media, maybe they would land on the Dodgers side. Although I do hear some people saying, like, no, the pressure's on the Padres because they don't have all the pitching injuries. And, if you want to talk about the Dave Roberts situation, is his job safe if he loses? Uh, I know we don't like Ken Rosenthal, but he has talked about that. About, no, Dave, he'll be fine because of all the injuries that the Dodgers have. You know, how much are you going to expect out of this Dodgers team with all those injuries? While the Padres, they're the better team. They're more healthy. They obviously had this series lead. So I feel like the Dodgers, they might be favored going into game 5, but I think we can all agree that the pressures should be on the Padres. Maybe there's some that don't think the Padres are underdogs. Or excuse me, there's going to be some that say that, oh, the Dodgers, they're underdogs. And some aren't going to believe that because of the payroll that they have. But if we're being honest with ourselves, they are dealing with a ton of injuries. They don't have Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, Tyler Glasnow, Clayton Kershaw. Miguel Rojas was hurt tonight with the adductor. Freddie Freeman's playing on one leg, and he wasn't even playing tonight. It was so bad that he was scratched from the lineup in a must-win game for them. So they're down significant guys. On the Padres side, yeah, down Joe Musgrove, down Ha-Sung Kim. There's guys that are out, but we're much more healthy. I think we're the better team. So I don't think the Padres are underdogs going in, but the betting lines may say that because the Dodgers at home, they've got stars in that lineup. Mookie Betts is swinging the bat now when the lights are bright, which is something that wasn't happening. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here in game 5. I see Vincent wants to join the show. Vincent, any thoughts on what happened here in tonight's game?
So basically, what I think is tonight's game is like game 1 at Dodger Stadium. It seems like the Padres and most Major League Baseball teams kind of do this. It's like their, like either their first game away or their second game at home. It's like they fumble because, they're, like they think that, this game is going to be really easy for them. They're going to, think like, oh, we'll get by. And then, they pick a player that, pitcher, or they put players that, maybe they think like, that they can do it even though they haven't had that much rest. And so I think that it's Friday should be a really good matchup, and the Padres should win the game because, they'll have a day of rest, and they'll be able to probably review film and footage, sort of like what football and other sports do. They'll probably review footage, review scouting reports, and be like, and this is what we're going to do, this is what we messed up on. And they're probably going to be a lot of talking,
Right.
similar to what Manny Machado did in sort of the dugout the other day. And I think that probably there will be a lot of Padres fans maybe heading up to Dodger Stadium to see the game because it is a must-win game for us. I mean, we want to win the game. Not only are fans trying to win it because Peter Seidler, but just because with all the trades and stuff we've had, especially with getting rid of most of our prospects and key trades for the major league team, it feels like that the pressure is on them to win because who knows what's going to happen when some of our players are like, they get traded, or in like, next year, the year after, they decide to retire, and then we don't have that, energy coming up when we have to scramble to get guys from other teams, and
Right.
it pulls
Yeah.
away from a minor league. So I think that, we are going to win Friday's game. And do you think that, I want sort of your opinion. Do you think that the Padres need more, people in a minor league like farm system? Do you think we need better guys down there to, in turn that could come up for next year? And then also, do you think that, the Padres? Obviously, my take is, do you think that the Padres would make it to the World Series?
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Vincent, for those questions. I appreciate that. Minor league, that question, I think that's for discussing down the road. I mean, this is postseason game 4 NLDS. Like, I don't even feel like thinking about that, to be quite honest right now. AJ Preller, I'll give a quick thought on it. Like, he has a history of rebuilding back that farm. I'm not anticipating him to all of a sudden change the way he does things and start just bringing up a bunch of the young talent. I think that he is someone that's not afraid to trade that top end prospect talent because they're prospects. Who knows if they're going to pan out or not, to go acquire pieces that are going to help this big league team win right now. And a lot of those pieces, I mean, he's hit on every trade this year. So I have confidence in AJ Preller. He totally deserves the respect, the love that he's gotten this year from Padres fans and for those around the league. As for the whole World Series thing, I think they're going to win in Game 5. I have confidence in this team. If they don't, I will be very disappointed because I was going into this series thinking they were going to beat the Dodgers. Again, we can talk about the Dodgers' injuries, obviously, and that's part of it. But even if you take that out of the equation, I don't care who they were playing in this division series. It could have been the Phillies. It could have been the Mets. I don't care. I really loved this team going into this series, and I still do. I haven't just lost confidence because of tonight's game. It's one game. I'm not going to forget about what they've done earlier in this series and what they were able to accomplish on the road at Dodger Stadium, obviously specifically in Game 2 with Darvish on the mound, who's going to be the same starter for Game 5. It would just be so disappointing because of how much talent is on this team and how much they are a team this year, which wasn't the case last year. And the way that Fernando is performing in the postseason. He's the best player in this postseason right now offensively. The back end of this bullpen that they have, which I think is stronger than what it was in 2022. A bunch of team guys. Obviously, with the rotation, I know Joe is out, but still, Darvish, I know Cease has been disappointing this postseason. He was disappointing today, which I'll get into in a little bit here more. But there's still talent, obviously. Michael King with the outing that he had in that wild card game. Martin Perez, that's a conversation that we can have about should he have pitched today? Should he have been in the game today? What are they saving Martin Perez for? What I would say about that is that maybe they're saving Martin Perez for an extra innings type situation because Mike Schilt goes all out with the bullpen for, let's say, Game 5. Then, for some reason, it's tied in the 9th inning going into the 10th, and you need someone to just pitch the rest of the game, however long it's going to be. And you don't want to go with like Yuki Matsui or Wandy Peralta. And that's where you go with Martin Perez, and maybe you'd have the advantage there because the Dodgers don't have that guy that they would go to. I struggle to understand why Martin Perez is on the roster to not use him. It's not like he was Rich Hill last year for the Padres, He hasn't sucked with the Padres. I guess the argument is he hasn't pitched in a game for the Padres in a while. And so maybe that's why you wouldn't throw him in. But yeah, I'm not saying I disagreed with the decision because I saw that on social media, people disagreeing with the decision. In hindsight, I don't know if they had that same opinion before the game, but I just saw that. Like, they disagree with Schilt having Cease start on short rest. But for me tonight, and I still hold this opinion even with the performance that he had, I know he only went 5 outs, but you acquired Dylan Cease to pitch in these moments, right? Who would I rather start that game tonight, Dylan Cease or Martin Perez? I would rather start Dylan Cease. I would. I believe in the talent that he has. And the bottom line was he was not able to locate his pitches tonight. And the first part of this game, I had to listen on radio because of work. But I went back and saw the scoring plays, obviously, for the Dodgers. And Mookie Betts with that home run, that pitch was right down the middle. That's not about the talent of Dylan Cease. That's about the execution of Dylan Cease. And he didn't execute good enough tonight. So that made it 1-0. And then the breaking ball to Shohei Ohtani, I mean, I think he was still on the mound when Shohei had that RBI single in the second. That pitch was outside the strike zone. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and get mad at Dylan Cease for that pitch. Higgy wanted that pitch on the outer part of the zone, and Cease went even further, and it was outside the zone, and Shohei somehow pulled it to right field because of how massive a human being he is and being able to get his arms over the plate like that. So Cease could have been better for sure. I was surprised when I heard that Dylan Cease was getting pulled after 5 outs. I know that it was 10 batters for 5 outs, and that's not obviously a good ratio there, right? But I was expecting Cease to go longer than 5 outs. I know it was 3 days rest, but the way that Mike Schilt was talking about how I'm not quoting him, but he said something pregame like they're not treating this as Dylan Cease starting on 3 days rest. And Dylan Cease didn't want the Padres to treat him like it was 3 days rest. He wanted more than that. And to me, this was Mike Schilt saying, okay, we can't let this get out of hand. We need to go win this game. I don't want this going back to Game 5, Dodger Stadium. Let's go play this as a must-win game. If it doesn't work out, like it obviously didn't work out, we have the day off tomorrow. Let's go try to win this game. Let's not make this 5-0. Let's not make this 8-0, which is what it ended up being, right? And so he ended up going to Bryan Hoeing, which I wasn't mad at. You know, Bryan Hoeing, I think he's been pretty darn good for the Padres overall this year. But Bryan Hoeing didn't have it either. And so then you compound the issue where Cease wasn't great, but you only give him 5 outs. And then you have Bryan Hoeing come in, and he doesn't locate. I mean, he was not scary, you know, watching some of those pitches tonight. Will Smith freaking hit that ball a mile. It only stopped because it hit off the batter's eye. But yeah, just his location was not great. And it's not like Bryan Hoeing throws 100. So they can get to that fastball. And yeah, that was that. Shohei had that RBI single off Cease. Betts pitch over the plate wasn't like a terrible pitch, but wasn't the best pitch. That made it 3-0 on his RBI single. And then Will Smith, I mean, that ball was just grooved, you know, pretty much down the middle. I mean, right in his happy zone. Smith smashed it, made it 5-0. Dodgers didn't score again until the 7th on the sac bunt, made it 6-0. Gavin Lux made it 8-0 on the homer. Game was over by then. I know we want to believe, and I did still believe when it was down, when the Padres were down 5-0. Like I wasn't going to give up on the team. But Mike Schilt, you know, shows it with his actions, with the guys that he puts into the game. And I'm not saying this was the wrong choice because it was, you know, 8-0. But in this game, it was not the high leverage guys after Hoeing, Morejon, Estrada. He went with Alec Jacob, who hadn't pitched since it was the blowout game, right? And then Wandy Peralta, Matsui, like those are your guys that you have on the roster that you want to pitch in the not tight situations, right? Alec Jacob, I think he should be pitching more, though. I would trust him in a tight spot. I'm not saying maybe a full inning, but if it's 2 outs and there's a particular matchup, he is someone that is a weapon for this Padres bullpen. But it doesn't seem like the Padres are going to be using him in Game 5. I wouldn't think that they would use him in Game 5 in a tight spot. To me, for Game 5, I feel like the Padres, they're going to go Darvish, and then they're going to go right to the high leverage guys. You know how Dave Roberts went to Michael Kopech really early tonight? I think that's what you could see with the Padres in Game 5. If they can't get length out of you, Darvish, then I would not be surprised if Shohei's coming up, they go right to Tanner Scott. They don't go to Morejon or any other guy. They go right to Tanner Scott, and you worry about the rest later. You just count outs. You know, 27 outs, that's all that matters. You just count outs. And maybe Tanner Scott's going to go 5 outs. Maybe Jason Adams is going to go 5 outs. Maybe Suarez is going to have to go 5 outs. Like, it's all hands on deck. Estrada's going to pitch, and they're just going to find a way. And Game 5 is going to be one of those, probably for both sides, where you have to be pitching pretty much perfect. The manager wants to go to the bullpen. That's what it feels like in these types of situations, right? You have to be pitching so well to force the manager to not go to the bullpen. He's looking for every reason possible to go to the bullpen, to get the right lane, to get the right matchup with that next batter coming up. Doesn't want that other team seeing that starter multiple times or 3 times, especially. They just want that matchup. So Darvish is going to be on a short leash. So will Yoshinobu Yamamoto if he does get the start. I don't know if they'd go to Flaherty right after Yamamoto. But the good news is Darvish is not going to be pitching on short rest. He's going to be pitching, I think, on regular rest. And Darvish at Dodger Stadium doesn't concern me. Again, like I said earlier, the Padres being at Dodger Stadium actually calms me a little bit because they're on the road. And it's going to be hopefully the Dodger crowd that is silent and tense while the Padres are on defense and Darvish is on the mound. And the Padres can feed off of being the villain, as Dave Roberts likes to put it. They're not the villain, but they will be in Dodger Stadium, obviously, because of the stadium that they're playing in. I can't wait, though, because it's going to be tense. It's going to be the longest 3 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever it's going to be, the longest few hours of our lives. And if the Padres, I don't want to think negative, but if the Padres lose to the Dodgers, it's going to feel like a failure of a season. The regular season wouldn't be, obviously, but the way that this Padres team was playing going into the postseason, what they did in the wild card series, and they were up 2-1 going into tonight, the way that they were playing, and what they did last night, obviously with that big inning, and how great the bullpen was. You have Dylan Cease starting, and then Darvish possibly in a Game 5. Don't lose this. Don't lose this series to a team that has so many injuries. I don't care what their payroll is. I don't care if they have Shohei Ohtani or Mookie Betts or Freddie. Freddie is compromised, obviously. You're the healthier team. I think you're the better team than the Dodgers. So to lose to the Dodgers, I don't care if it's in 5 games, that's going to feel like a failure. And I think the Padres players would say that if they lost. I think of someone like Jackson Merrill. Yeah, he's a rookie, but this dude, he has confidence in his team. And I think they go in expecting to win Game 5. Not like in a bad way, but just confidence in themselves. And he's someone that I think would tell it straight for if the Padres would drop Game 5. Xander Bogaerts is someone that tells it straight to the media as well. And I think he'd do that. I don't want it to get to that point, obviously, but tonight just sucked watching that game. It freaking sucked. Now, I want to be positive. So if they win Game 5 against the Dodgers, that will be amazing. And to get the home field advantage in the NLCS against the Mets, that would be great. And I think the Padres would be the better team going into that series against the Mets. I know that the Mets, beating the Phillies, that's not an easy task. So, that's a good job from them. But I like the Padres bullpen better. I know that there's guys in that Mets lineup that can hurt you, obviously. And Lindor had that grand slam tonight. And, that's a dangerous team. I'm not saying they're not. But I like the Padres' chances in that NLCS. The big test is getting through a must-win, winner-go-home Game 5 at Dodger Stadium on Friday. And, Mookie before the season at their fan fest was like, something like every other team, this is their World Series. Well, yeah, this is the Padres World Series coming up on Friday. And then you move on, and then that next series is your World Series. This is so important. And for the Dodgers, this is their World Series coming up on Friday. It's the biggest game of the year. But, if I want to take myself out of a Padre fan's shoes and just try to look at this from a baseball fan perspective, let's say your team's knocked out and you're a Twins fan or you're a Angels fan, whatever team. You have got to be so excited for Game 5 on Friday. Padres, Dodgers, we finally get the Darvish-Yamamoto matchup if Yamamoto indeed does start that game. The rivalry, it's clear that the Padres and Dodgers hate each other. The fans hate each other. The whole drama that's happened in this series, the back and forth, win-loss. I know the Padres won a couple games in a row, but it's been back and forth. It's not been like this easy series by either team, obviously. So this is cannot wait for Friday night if you're just a baseball fan. As a Padres fan, yeah, I can't wait, but like at the same time, I'm just freaking nervous, obviously, because losing to the Dodgers in 5 games, that would be heartbreaking. Um, through all the great moments and how this has felt like this is our year, with however many great moments we've had this year, right? I've lost count. It's felt like, okay, this is our year. And if that ends up not happening and you had a 2-1 series lead and you had a chance to close them out at Petco Park and they had a bullpen game and they were without Freddie Freeman and we had Dylan Cease on the mound and we scored 0 runs, like how painful that would be. But I need to stop thinking about that. I really do. Because this Padres team is a talented team and they could very well go in and just smash the Dodgers in game 5. I mean, Yama meatballs on the mound and the Dodger hitters get tense. Freddie obviously isn't healthy. Mookie could totally shrink. Shohei could totally shrink. And, playing the villain, Manny, Profar, and Tatis and Merrill could just go off, which is obviously what I'm hoping. Darvish could dominate again, and you don't even have to use Morahone. You could just go to your other top relievers and just get the job done and get the bus back down to San Diego for the home field advantage. That could happen as well. This is a really talented team that the Padres have, obviously. So I don't want Padres fans to not have confidence going into game 5. Just as a fan, I got to give you both sides. I got to give you how I'm feeling here. So I'm confident, but like I'd be lying if 100% of me, like it was all confidence, because it's not all confidence. Jesus here with the super chat tonight. Sukdol wouldn't want anyone but you. Wait, what? Tonight, I don't know what you're saying there. Wouldn't want anyone but you on. Oh, tonight sucked. Maybe is what Jesus is saying. Tonight sucked. Wouldn't want anyone but you on Friday. Yeah. Well, based on the options and him going into Dodger Stadium and how he performed in that last start, I agree with that for sure. All right, let's go through the rest of the chat here. I'm actually going to check social media here real quick to see if there's any information that I should relay on the show. Freddie Freeman said it was gamesmanship to put his name in the early lineup. Talk to Dave Roberts at breakfast. So it seems like he knew he wasn't going to be able to do it anyway. Just going through Twitter here. Mike Schilt on game 5. Let's see what he says here. Courtesy of Jeff Sanders. Listen, I'm already excited for Friday. How fun is that going to be? It's true. Like, yeah, it's going to be fun, leading up because it's the Dodgers. It's winner go home. Season's on the line. But it sure would have been fun to win tonight, so we didn't have to worry about that facing an elimination game on Friday. Someone says need Merrill batting third instead of Profar. I don't see the Padres changing that, to be honest. I think that, I was about to actually quote tweet today on the lineup. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But, they didn't score any runs tonight. So you can make a case to change it, but the Padres have had good moments still with this same lineup. Let's not forget what happened yesterday or in game 2. it's been pretty much the same lineup, right? So I don't expect Merrill to be moved up to the third spot. I understand why you would say that. To have him in between, it would be right behind Manny. No. It would be between Tatis and Manny. So I understand that. I'd be fine with that. Like, I wouldn't be like pissed off at that. But with Mike Schilt, the way he's managed, he just doesn't change the lineup very much. And I don't think he's going to change it going into game 5 of the NLCS. Ray says Darvish has flashbacks of losses in the playoffs. Darvish will implode early. I think Yamamoto's actually has higher odds of doing that, like a better chance of imploding early. I mean, this is the biggest game of his career. Darvish has pitched in the World Series before. I'm not saying this isn't a big start for Darvish. Of course it is, but I think Darvish having the experience can definitely help him and give him the edge. And if we're just talking about take the experience out of it, but just the pitches, we saw how Darvish was able to pitch to the Dodgers. He can make them anxious with all those pitches that he has. He can find a spot for those Dodger hitters where they've got a cold zone or they don't hit well against that pitch. And he can use that pitch because he has every pitch in the book. So that's part of how we can give the Padres that advantage for game 5 against Yamamoto or Flaherty, whoever pitches. And Flaherty, if he pitches, the emotion that he's going to have, that could end up backfiring on the Dodgers and himself as well. Home field advantage, it is a myth. I disagree. I think at Dodger Stadium it might be, but at Petco, I disagree. No, it is an advantage. I know it didn't go well tonight, but if you're at any of these playoff games, like, I mean, every game I've been to this postseason, they've won all the home games. I wasn't there tonight. It's pretty clear that no, it's a home field advantage. There is definitely a home field advantage at Petco Park. Maybe in other ballparks, it's not that much, but for Petco, I disagree there. Devin says it's going to be a circus Friday night. Yeah, I mean, who knows what the heck's going to happen at Dodger Stadium with the fans and all that. I sure hope that we don't see a repeat of game 2 because I just want it to be about the baseball, I don't need it to be about Dodger fans and them inserting themselves because they want to be the center of attention. I don't need it to be about drama off the field. Like, I just want it to be about Padres, Dodgers, better team wins, game 5, win or go home, game of the year. Let's do it. That's what I want it to be about. All right, before getting to the rest of the chat, I did want to remind you guys of some of the great partners of the show. Gaglione and Bros, famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries. They're located inside Petco Park, obviously. Their main location is on Friars Road. Cheesesteak fries, cheesesteaks, garlic fries, cheese fries. Go check them out. Breaking Tea, they've got Padres and Aztec shirts and sweatshirts. Click the link in the description there. They just released that Profar robbery of Mookie in Game 2. They have a shirt of that. They've got a bunch of shirts. Tonight, I'm wearing the Mr. Relevant Jerks and Profar shirt from Breaking Tea. I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's that. So, yeah, they got a lot of different options there at Breaking Tea to support the Padres. Underdog, 50% deposit match up to $1,000. Click that link in the description. They've got specials going on during this postseason. Obviously, there's other sports as well. October, it's the best month of the year. There's like everything going on right now. So it's a great time, obviously. A time where, not getting a whole lot of sleep. There's just so much going on. But there's a bunch of pick'ems there. Padres, Dodgers coming up Friday. You'll have a lot of options to choose from there. So use Underdog. Again, link in the description there. And then the same code for SeatGeek, $20 off your first order there. Code Talking Friars. Thank you to all those that support the partners of the show. Much appreciated. Mets took care of business. Yes, they did. Yep. Beating the Phillies tonight, and now they obviously partied tonight, and they can relax and get to just watch whoever they're going to play. They know they're going to be going on the road either to LA or to Petco, and they can set up their rotation, I think, because game 1 would be Sunday, I think. Could be wrong on that, but I think game 1 would be Sunday, either at Petco or at Dodger Stadium. And so that gives the Mets 1, 2, 3 days off. And who pitched for them today? I wasn't able to watch that entire game. They won 4-1. Lindor had that go-ahead grand slam in the 6th. Quintana pitched. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, he's been pitching really well. They have Quintana. They have Severino. Manny pitched well, I think, the other night. That would be an interesting matchup. I feel like the Padres would have the edge still, but the Mets are really hot. They are hot, for sure. Interesting that there's Dodger fans in here now. Pretty quiet when you guys lost the 2 games before this, but now you guys all want to be in here, huh? What happened to Padres in 4? Well, they didn't play tonight. They didn't play well tonight. Excuse me. Dylan Cease didn't execute. Bryan Hoeing didn't execute. The offense didn't score any runs. That's what happened. Just going through the chat here. Yeah, a lot of Dodger fans. You guys are really loud tonight. All right, I see that Ditto wants to join the show. What's up, man? How's it going? You got me?
My Wi-Fi not working? What's going on?
Maybe come back in, and then we'll see if that can work again. Just continuing to go through the chat here. Yeah, a lot of Dodger fans. Some nasty language in here. Not surprised. That's who they are. Were we being delusional for thinking that we would win tonight when we have Dylan Cease on the mound, and after what happened last night, and you guys had a bullpen game tonight? Like, I don't think that's being delusional. I think that's just looking at the matchup on paper and being confident in our team. Austin says Padres win game 5, Darvish over Yamamoto. The Freeman injury is a big deal. Yeah, it is. I was thinking if it was going to be close, because obviously Freeman being scratched, I thought that maybe we'd see him in a tight situation where there's a guy in scoring position and like it's a tie game or they're down by 1 or his RBI could be the go-ahead RBI where he doesn't have to run. But obviously that never came, and he was able to get the night off, and then he'll get a bunch of treatment, probably around-the-clock treatment, and I have no doubt he'll be in the lineup for Game 5. I would be surprised if he's not going to be in the lineup Game 5. It's one thing for him not to be in the lineup after playing in Game 3 and having the turnaround, just that on his body, and then landing on first base like he did, and then running down the line, and then he was like limping off the field last night. To be ready for tonight, that's different. But when you have a day off and he doesn't even have to go on the field tomorrow, just totally get treatment only, and you can have another day to do that before 5 o'clock on Friday, I think he's going to be in there. All right, let's see if the Wi-Fi is working again here. What's up, Ditto? How's it going?
I don't think I'm at a loss of words for today.
Yeah, it sucked. Did you
But
want Dylan Cease pitching on short rest? Did you like that decision?
I mean, I don't know if you're yesterday on this show I was saying I thought Perez was gonna pitch today.
Yeah. I think I with Perez, I still like I said earlier, I just don't totally understand why have him on the roster and he pitched well in the regular season, and then you don't throw him at all. I mean, not even in a blowout here. For me, that's like them. I feel like they're saving him in case an extra innings situation happens, and you just throw him the rest of the way. And maybe they were planning on him starting Game 4, but then they're like, hey, why not go Cease Game 4? We have a 2-1 series lead. We can close it out. We got the bullpen behind him. Let's just do that. Is Perez hurt? I have no idea what's going on there.
Okay, so Game 5, are we having Yu Darvish pitch then?
Yeah, Darvish is going to start, and I think Yamamoto's starting for the Dodgers. And then the full bullpen will be available. Perez would be available, I would assume, unless he's hurt. There was talk about Sean Reynolds and how he's still staying ready in case there's an injury that we don't know about. Or he could be on the NLCS roster if the Padres get there. But I wonder about Martin Perez and why he hasn't appeared.
Yeah, because I mean, we haven't really used many left-handed pitchers this whole series outside of Tanner Scott. And
Morhone.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him. Morhone's been kind of.
Yeah, I think there's been some situations where that's been the case. I still think the Padres trust Morhone, though, in a spot. I wonder, to be honest, and I'm just kind of thinking as I'm going here, thinking out loud. I wonder if Schilt is going to go to Scott early in Game 5, and then like you just get as many outs as you can with your best arms, and then we see Morhone late in that game if the Padres have a lead or something, and you just trust it, or you just hope that he can get those outs, left on left against Shohei or something, and because you'd rather at least you use Tanner Scott, and you had a lead. If you lose it, okay, you lose it, but at least you got to Tanner Scott with a lead, or you got to Tanner Scott in a tie game, in a favorable matchup for the Padres.
Okay. I mean, wouldn't you want Tanner Scott towards the end, though?
Right, but let's say it's a 2-1 game and Darvish comes out of the game and you want a good matchup against Ohtani. Would you rather have Tanner Scott face Ohtani, or would you rather have Morhone come into the game in the 5th or the 6th inning? And you could give it up there, and then you get to Tanner Scott and you're losing the game when you get to Tanner Scott. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather be winning the game and then you hope that Morhone can get through it than you have Morhone pitch and you get to Tanner Scott when you're losing.
Okay, I see. Well, I mean, I really hope that Martin Perez can be used as a reliever Game 5.
I think he could, yeah, but I don't anticipate him being used unless it's, again, like an extra inning situation. Because he would have already been used, right? Like, he wasn't even used tonight.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't watch the whole game, but who were the relievers used today? Because I just know Cease was taken out after 5 outs, and I saw
Hoeing,
Bryan Hoeing, Morahone.
Yeah,
and I think after that, it really
Estrada.
I saw Alex Jacob. Oh yeah, Estrada. I saw him.
Yeah, Jacob, Matsui, Peralta. It was all the bottom of the bullpen.
lower
Yeah,
tier
it was
relievers.
everyone except the big three: Suarez, Scott, and Adam.
Okay. So then yeah, I feel pretty confident about like our relievers being fresh for Game 5, and then I hope that I believe you Darvish can give us another performance similar to Game 2.
Yeah, that would be really big for sure. Um, he was efficient. He kept Dodgers guys off balance, not really knowing what to expect, maybe. And then you were able to just go to the top guys in your pen. Like, obviously, it helped that the Padres offense was scoring a bunch of runs there. But yeah, if Darvish doesn't have a great start, and then Schilt needs to take him out early because it's Game 5, that's going to be pretty tense. Like, wondering how the Padres are going to get all the way through the 9 innings in that situation. But you could say the exact same thing about the Dodgers, where if Yamamoto, gives up a bomb to Manny or something, and then Dave Roberts is like, all right, that's literally it. Like, we can't do this. And then he goes to Jack Flaherty or whoever in the bullpen. Then we could say the same thing about the Dodgers and be like, well, we have the lead and they have to get 24 outs or 20 outs here with their bullpen. And they're going to do that back-to-back games. We could spin that way for us Padres fans, though.
So do you think Martin Perez or maybe even like Michael King could be used in the bullpen for Game 5?
Oh, Michael King. I think Michael King would say, like, yeah, I'm available, but he literally just pitched. So he would be on
3
he'd be
days.
on 2 days rest.
Oh,
He
yeah,
pitched
2 days.
yesterday. So, I mean, maybe for a batter, but like, no, I don't think so. I think that you just go Darvish, you have Perez available, and you have obviously the rest of your bullpen. Yeah, because the other guys, I mean, Cease wouldn't go. King's not going to go, I wouldn't think. Those are your two big guys. Darvish is starting. You don't have Musgrove. So, yeah, it's for me, it's really just Darvish and the bullpen.
So what do you think needs to happen for us to win Game 5? What do you think? Like, what do you believe needs to happen?
Get up on top early. Make the Dodgers tense and tight. Like, oh crap, we're down. We have to win this game. The Dodger crowd might be silent, and just go from there. And obviously, Darvish having a good outing, that's obviously huge. But yeah, get up on top early, and the fundamental things, fundamental defense. Obviously, with the Dodgers last night in that Padre win, they were giving the Padres extra base runners, and the Padres took advantage of it. In Game 1, Manny with that throwing error, and just things that aren't probably ever going to happen in the postseason. That, like, you wouldn't expect that to happen. Don't do that. Take everything that the Dodgers give you, but don't give them everything. Or anything, excuse me. Like the small little things obviously are going to be magnified in Game 5. Playing smart baseball, like we saw with Manny in the base running the other night. Little things like that could end up being a huge, huge difference.
And then also, I hear like a lot of people on social media saying like, whenever Otani's at bat, we should just like intentionally walk him. Do you believe in that?
No,
Or,
I think certain situations like that can make sense, but tie game, first inning, no. Um, Tanner Scott on the mound, no. Like, you obviously bring him in for that matchup. It would be interesting if like Tanner Scott gets used and he gets Otani out, and then later in the game, let's say, or earlier, and it's another reliever out there. And based on the situation, would they pitch to him then? But Otani, I'm not saying he doesn't scare me because he's obviously a threat, but I feel like it's overhyped about, oh, well, Shohei's coming up here in 3 batters. Look out. The Padres can get him out. They've proven that they can get Shohei out in this series. I mean, it can happen. This isn't, I know he's like as close as you can get to God, but he's not. You can get him out. So no, I would not just give him the 4, every at bat. I'm not giving free base runners to the Dodgers. It would be one thing if Mookie came up after that and he was still struggling, but that's not the case. Freddie Freeman, yeah, he's going to be compromised, but the guy can still hit. I mean, we saw that last night when he was limping and could barely get to first base. He still got a hit. So, um, yeah, I don't want to put free base runners on for the Dodgers. I feel like bad things would happen after that.
Right. That's fair.
All right, anything else? There's one other guy that wants to come on here.
No. But thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, of course. Have a good night, and hopefully we'll have a great Game 5 to watch on Friday. Let's go to Carl. Carl wants to join the show.
Hey, how you doing tonight?
Could be better, but hopefully it's going to be better come Friday.
I agree. Yeah, tonight was tough for sure. I don't know what it was. It just watching on TV, it just felt like we were stagnant. Like for whatever reason, just not that we didn't have energy, but honestly, Mookie Betts did his job. First inning, quiets the crowd, and it definitely feels like it took the energy out of the team. Maybe not out of the ballpark, but out of the team for sure. And then when I heard about the starting lineups and Cease was going to be pitching, on the short rest, I'm not going to say I hated the idea, but I was not confident going in, especially with how he struggled in his first go around with them in this series. And I love Cease. I think it was a waste tonight, letting him go an inning and a half, not even able to get him through 2. And then it's a bullpen game from there. I don't understand that particular move. So
Yeah, no, I agree with that, Carl. I think that with Cease, even with the way things were going there, the Padres determined that they'd rather have Bryan Hoeing go on the mound than Dylan Cease in that spot. And obviously, hindsight, it's easy to say, like, Hoeing didn't have it as well as he's had it in other outings, and especially in the regular season. He was really good for the Padres in the regular season. When you start doing Cease on 3 days rest, and with the quotes before the game about how they don't want to treat this like it's 3 days rest and they want to give him, not just 30 pitches. Well, he threw what, like 38 pitches tonight? So
yeah, I've got the stats up. Yeah, he's through 38. So
yeah, I would have gone longer with Dylan Cease, even with what was happening there. I would have see if he can get through those 2 innings, maybe even send him out there for a 3rd inning. Like, I understand the Padres, they don't want to have it get out of control and they want to go win that game and just end the series right there. But again, it just felt like, so you're essentially just putting Dylan Cease out there as a reliever because you had him pitch 5 outs. I mean, if you're going to throw Dylan Cease, I'm throwing him for more than 5 outs when you have a 2-1 series lead. It's not like you were in the Dodgers situation where you had to win the game. I'm still going with Cease a little bit longer than what happened there. The Padres scored no runs, though. So, like, at the end of the day, we can talk about this all we want. The offense, you got to score. So that was obviously the issue. And I probably should have thought of this going in, to be honest. They haven't had a ton of success off relievers in this postseason. So if all the Dodgers were throwing were relievers, it's like, well, okay, you're going to see these guys once, and the Dodgers are going to bring in the guy that's the toughest on you as a hitter. Yeah, it might not go so great. I wasn't expecting the Padres to throw up a donut though tonight. That's inexcusable.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I just feel like our bullpen, I don't think there was a structure to it. Like, looking at the pitching, like, based on the final stats, it's like, of course, you throw Cease, and obviously you don't get the production out of Cease that you were hoping for. I mean, there's no way Schilt or Niebla went in going, yeah, let's go an inning and 2/3 with Cease. If that's what their thought was, then that was a blunder on them. But obviously, you expect him to do better, because he has done better all season long, right? And then Hoeing, I think, was the right move after that. But then go to Morihone, pitch as well. Go to Estrada, pitch as well. But it's like those are our, like, if you had to tier like 3 tiers of the bullpen, you have the high relief, the mid relief, and the low relief. And at that point, the game's not obviously not out of hand, but those guys are the first off the bench in game 5 if we need them. We didn't go to Jacob early enough, in my opinion. We didn't go to Matsui early enough, and obviously when he got in, game's already out of hand as it is. Dodgers aren't really, they don't need any more runs, right? So they're not going at it full throttle necessarily. So I don't like using Estrada here today. I get it for the pitching matchups in the game. Like, I understand that, but
I think it was for the stage of the game. I think they weren't going to do it if it was the 7th inning or the 8th inning, but because when did he come in? I think it was like the 5th.
yeah,
Hang on. Yeah,
I think
5th
so.
or something like that. That's where it's like, okay, yeah, we're down 5-0, but let's put Estrada out there. We have a day off tomorrow. He'll be fine to go game 5 in whatever situation we need. Let's try to keep it where it's at and see if let's give this offense another inning, a couple more innings to put something up there. And it didn't happen, obviously. But then, because after Estrada, I was thinking it was Morihone. Morihone came before Estrada. Yeah, I mean, because after that, they go to Jacob. Once you go to Jacob, it's like, okay, you're kind of surrendering there because Jacob hasn't thrown in any big spot in this postseason.
Yeah. No, and I thought he pitched pretty well, like going in or when he got in. I thought he pitched decent. I mean, obviously pressure's off of him. I mean, obviously the pressure's on him to keep the score where it's at for sure. But then like the pressure of having to stop a guy because of how close the score is obviously isn't there. So you could argue that he had a good game, but you can also argue that there's no pressure. But I thought overall, grand scheme of things, I thought he pitched really well, especially for no postseason experience, getting in there and facing a really good Dodgers lineup that, sadly for us, is starting to wake up. I mean, it's obvious with you having Mookie waking up for the first time in a long time in the playoffs. Obviously, he's been really good in the regular season, but it's been a talking point all postseason long that he's struggled in the playoffs for whatever reason, and now he's waking up. Past 2 nights, home run. I mean, game 3 almost hit the home run, but Profar was luckily able to rob it. He's got confidence now. That's not good for us. Teoscar Hernandez is hitting like he shouldn't have been struggling to find a place to go in free agency type. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think Max Muncy's looking more confident. Obviously, tonight, he went 1 for 4, but you look at what he was able to do. He looks more confident at the plate. That's not good for us. With the day off today and the day off tomorrow for Freddie. I mean, there's a reason why he got paid the contract that he did, and he's a future Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about it. And even with a bum foot, he still gets a big hit for the Dodgers yesterday. So it's just, as long as we can keep their bats at bay, and Lord hope we wake up tomorrow or Friday, because obviously our bats weren't there tonight. But you look at their final lineup and everybody getting hits, and obviously some of them happen when garbage time. They've already pretty much sealed the game, but at the same time, it's like even one hit in a situation where it's like their hit doesn't matter, or maybe they're the only hit of an inning. That doesn't mean that that's not going to wake them up and have them playing better for the next game. So,
right. Yeah, you bring up good points. Yeah, it's for me. It's you talk about those key guys in that order. Having that confidence and they're swinging the bat better. Yeah, that doesn't bode well. But I still have that confidence in Yu Darvish coming up in Game 5. He just pitched really well against the Dodgers in that first game, that first matchup, Game 2, that first matchup for Darvish against the Dodgers in this series. And there's still talent in that lineup. I mean, at Dodger Stadium, and we literally just saw them have a home run derby there. So this offense can score. They can score off Yamamoto. They can score off of Flaherty. They can score off the bullpen. Obviously, tonight it wasn't pretty, but especially at Dodger Stadium, where I think they do feed off of the them being on the road. I have a good feeling going into Game 5 with those circumstances.
And I wasn't, when I was bringing up all the Dodgers like having success, I'm not saying that we can't, turn it around and that we won't turn it around. I'm just saying that with tonight, you look at the score and you look at like different camera angles. I don't know if you were at the game or if you were watching on TV, but you look at different camera angles on TV and you just look into the Padres dugout. It's like dejection. And it's like, obviously this team wanted to close it out in front of the home fans. Obviously. Every team wants to do that in the playoffs with their home fans that have given them support all year long, right? Sold out, places packed to the gills, and you have everybody just going crazy pregame, So obviously there's that, but it's like the swagger and the confidence. I'm not saying it can't come back, and I'm not saying it won't. It's just looking on TV tonight, once things got bad, it got worse. At least from the outside looking in, it got worse for them, like mentally as well, because it's dejection. And it could be more of trying to get locked in and going, okay, tonight's not our night. Game 5's our game, right? Obviously, we don't know as fans what everybody's thinking at any given moment, but it's just they're starting to hit, and then all of a sudden our hits tail off. Now, like you said before I came on, or maybe just after I did, it's like we've struggled against their relievers all series. The moment we run out the starter, the moment their bullpen starts, our offensive production just tanks for whatever reason this series so far, except for
Game 2.
Game 2, yeah. So it's just I'm not saying I'm not confident. Obviously tonight's result is what's made it seem like I'm not confident, but I think we can play with any team in America any given moment. We've done it all season. We've done it against the Dodgers all year long. We didn't just win the season series, like the regular season series, for no reason. Like, we've put up good matchups against them all year. It's just we've got to continue to do that. We've got one opportunity, and it's win or go home for both teams. And you're going to get the best out of both teams on Friday. And it's who shows up, and in this series, it's who shows up first. I mean, it's who shows up first and who shows up in a big way, because you could argue that it's the big innings that also cause, the success, not even so much just, showing up early, but putting in one run, 2 runs maybe. It's a big inning that causes a spark one way or another for either team. So it's just we have to be quick, and obviously Dodger fans, they're going to be on us, with how Game 2 went. They're going to be on this team for multitude of reasons. It's tied 2-2. I think Petco has the best fans. Petco and Padres have the best fans, but that doesn't mean that playoff baseball isn't gonna bring out the energy, and hopefully we can thrive off that and keep their energy to a minimum. Hopefully we can silence the crowd pretty early. That's the hope, at least.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you make good points. I think, it's going to be important for the Padres to get to that Dodgers bullpen. It doesn't have to be super early. Obviously, you want that, but get to it. When you get to it, have a lead. Have done something, some damage off of Yamamoto or Flaherty, whoever gets that start. I don't know if the other is going to go right in after that, or they're going to save that person for possible extra innings to just go for the rest of the game or whatever. But get a lead going into your bullpen with the lead would be fantastic, obviously, and that would make me feel a whole lot better about that situation. Because tonight, when you go to the bullpen with a deficit and you're chasing the entire night, and then you've got the Dodgers bullpen pitching where they're just going with the best lane for that pitcher, and it's not great matchups for our guys. You don't feel too great. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Playing fundamentally good baseball, strong defense, don't give them anything. And that's how the Padres can go get this win. But hoping for the best on Friday. And thank you, Carl, for coming on. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. All right, that's going to do it, everyone. Talking Friars episode 647. A bummer of a night. Dodger fans, they're loud tonight, but hopefully they're going to be really quiet coming up on Friday. Game 5, Padres Dodgers, NLDS 5:08, I believe, is the scheduled first pitch time. It's going to be on Big Fox, not FS1, but Fox, with obviously Joe Davis, John Smoltz, Ken Rosenthal on the call there, on 97.3 The Fan as well. But have a great night. Let's flush this one. This is still a talented Padres team. Let's not forget that.